The most expensive penthouse in Dubai's most exclusive vertical playground has never been slept in. Not for a single night. A European tech billionaire forks over $87.7 million for the crown jewel of the Dubai Marina skyline. A massive 6-bedroom fortress in the clouds with a private terrace a quarter-mile above the Arabian Gulf. By his own broker's public admission, he has never spent an evening there. Instead, he spent years doing something far more desperate, trying to escape. He listed it for $170 million. No buyers. Pulled it. Relisted at $130 million. Cut it again to near $100 million. His own new broker publicly called the original valuation completely indefensible. The man who bought the absolute peak of UAE luxury has been trying to hand the keys to anyone else since the day he got them. And in this mega-tall tower, he isn't an anomaly. He is the blueprint, this is the construction files, and this is document number 10. Today, we follow the cash out the door. The hedge fund royalty, the oil magnates, the oligarchs who can buy anything are doing the one thing no marketing campaign can spin. They are selling. Some at half price, some at a brutal loss. Even one of the original Emirati development partners is now being squeezed out of his own units inside the tower. Let's look at the ledger. Cursed is an opinion. A closing price in Dubai is a hard fact. Exhibit 1. Unit 96. Bought in 2016 for $87.7 million, over $10,600 per square foot. It sat rotting in the heat for years while brokerages cycle through. Exhibit 2. The 79th floor. An 8,000 square foot masterpiece designed with imported Japanese stone. Listed for $135 million. 2 years later, it closed at $65.6 million. Less than half the ask. That final price was exactly what they paid 8 years ago. Zero appreciation in a decade where Dubai real estate didn't just climb. It exploded. The billionaires are running. Let's find out why. To understand what these billionaires are fleeing, you have to look at the engineering timeline. The marketing brochures promised an architectural marvel, a hyper-slender concrete spine piercing the desert sky. But physics doesn't care about a developer's pitch. In the ultra-luxury race to build higher on Dubai's coast, engineering margins were pushed to the absolute edge. The trouble starts with the desert foundation and reclaimed land. When you anchor a Supertall tower into coastal ground, the weight distribution must be flawless. But as early as 2018, internal logs flagged shifting issues. Then came the real villain of the Gulf: extreme thermal expansion. In Dubai, summer temperatures routinely cross 45 degrees Celsius. The intense heat causes the massive exterior concrete and glass facade to expand, while the internal air conditioning keeps the core freezing. This thermal disparity creates violent structural stress. Residents started reporting a bizarre reality. The tower was groaning. In high winds off the Gulf, the slender frame flexes so aggressively that the motion creates an intolerable, deep bass vibrations and banging sounds inside the upper penthouses. But the structural fatigue is only half the nightmare. The plumbing system, fighting immense gravity to pump water hundreds of meters straight up, began to fail. Flawed pressure-reducing valves led to catastrophic pipe blowouts, sending torrents of water cascading down through multi-million-dollar duplexes. The ultra-high-speed elevators. The only realistic way to reach a home a quarter-mile high consistently shorted out or trapped residents as the building flexed in the wind, scraping the shafts by 2021. The structural issues boiled over into a massive $250 million construction and design defect lawsuit, citing over 1,500 distinct failures labeled as life safety hazards. Worse yet, a second, devastating 46 fraud complaint hit the courts. The filing alleges that the developers knew about early facade cracking and glass fatigue caused by the heat, but papered it over to keep the $2.9 billion sales machine moving. The developers deny wrongdoing, calling the tower a triumph of engineering. But on the secondary market, the damage was done. What makes this disaster so fascinating isn't just one broken tower. It's how the cracks in this single building are ripping through the entire Dubai ultra-luxury ecosystem. This project was the ultimate proof of concept for the billionaire's role model of the Middle East. The entire thesis of global wealth preservation relies on one golden rule: scarcity at the absolute top protects your capital from reality. If you own the highest, most expensive dirt in downtown or the marina, You are supposed to be bulletproof. Instead, this building has become a financial contagion machine. Look at how the mechanics of a luxury real estate panic actually work. Every time one of these desperate owners dumps a unit, like the 79th floor disaster that closed at $65.6 million, that number is permanently burned into the Dubai Land Registry. It becomes an official resale comparable. When a British hedge fund manager or an oil executive tries to value their own sky mansion nearby, appraisers don't look at the gold leaf on the ceilings. They pull the latest distressed comps. A single half-price fire instantly drags down the paper wealth of every neighbor on the coast. And then come the banks. International lenders and regional mortgage committees aren't blind. When a Supertall icon is choked by twin active lawsuits seeking over $400 million, alongside documented glass fatigue and plumbing blowouts, the building goes on a financial blacklist. Loan-to-value ratios tighten to zero. Banks simply refuse to write mortgages for these units, instantly vaporizing the pool of conventional buyers. This forces the market into a brutal cash-only playground. And cash buyers in Dubai do not pay premiums for a structural headache. They hunt for blood. Meanwhile, the holding costs continue to compound. The cost of endless litigation, specialized high-altitude facade inspections, and soaring insurance premiums are passed directly to the remaining owners through astronomical monthly service charges. They are trapped in a vice, paying fortunes every month to maintain an asset that the market is actively devaluing. Behind the dry legal filings and cratering market data lies the human cost of this architectural nightmare, a drama playing out among the ultra-wealthy that no public relations firm can suppress. The sheer chaos inside this tower is best illustrated by the civil war that has broken out between its own creators, the local Emirati construction magnate and his international development partner, who jointly engineered this multi-billion-dollar sky club, are now locked in a vicious legal battle inside their own building. The corporate partner launched aggressive foreclosure proceedings against 3 ultra-luxury units owned personally by the local developer, alleging he defaulted on a staggering $46 million in internal loans tied directly to those residences. The developer fired back with a massive countersuit, claiming his partners withheld a $110 million in developer distributions. Think about that image. The man whose name is literally stamped onto the concrete foundation of this icon is facing eviction from his own sky mansions by his own partner. When the captains of the ship start tearing each other apart over the remaining lifeboats, you don't need a structural engineer to tell you the vessel is taking on water. Outside the boardroom, the reality for the actual residents is pure panic. Consider Exhibit 3 from our ledger, an 84th floor residence originally snapped up by a European retail tycoon for $21.4 million during the height of the Dubai property boom. As the plumbing leaks worsened and the elevator gridlocks turned daily life into a logistical nightmare, the owner quietly listed the unit for $18 million. They voluntarily put themselves underwater just to get out. With no takers, they slashed it again to $15 million. This wasn't a negotiation for profit. It was a desperate calculation of how much capital they were willing to incinerate, just to hand over the keys and walk away, when billionaires living 200 floors apart are all running the exact same playbook. Dump the asset, swallow the multi-million-dollar loss, and run. It ceases to be an isolated financial problem. It is an absolute verdict on the building itself. The marketing promised an immortal vault for global wealth, a private vertical cunt club with 5-star service and pristine coastal views. Instead, the buyers who could afford absolutely anything found themselves trapped in a flexing, groaning cage of concrete and glass, watching their net worth evaporate every time the wind blew off the Gulf. The curse on this tower isn't supernatural. It is purely mathematical. A curse implies bad luck, but nothing in this record is luck. The structural flexing was simple physics, easily predicted by a dangerous slenderness ratio. The material fatigue and cracking under the desert sun were allegedly foreseen and papered over. The great billionaire exodus we are witnessing is just rational people reading engineering files the rest of the market chose to ignore. In a compromised Supertall, the first one out the door always loses the least. They aren't fleeing a ghost, they are fleeing a toxic balance sheet. The buildings in these files always tell the truth eventually, and this one is screaming it through the Dubai Land Registry. $135 million becomes $65,000. $170 million drops to $100 million and keeps falling. A developer's own keys end up in a foreclosure file. The tower still stands, still gleams, still serves as a postcard for Dubai's hyper-wealthy skyline. It's just that the people who know it best are choosing to look at it from somewhere else. This leaves the global market with a massive question. With the 79th floor selling at a 50% discount, essentially what it traded for nearly a decade ago, is this troubled icon the ultimate contrarian buy in the UAE? Or is catching this falling knife exactly how the next catastrophic financial file begins? And the bigger question for the global elite, if the safest, most exclusive sandbox on the coast can erase a decade of capital appreciation in a matter of months, where does ultra-luxury money actually hide now? Drop your takes in the comments. I read every single one, and the sharpest analysis gets pinned to the top. This has been the Construction Files, document number 10. The file stays open.